Hi everyone, my name is Katie Kettner. I am a pelvic health physiotherapist in the northeast of England, and I am here today to talk about your pelvic floor. I'm going to put together some videos for you with the theme of pelvic health made simple. So in the hope that I can give you some really simple, basic, quick advice and education on your pelvic floor. I hope that you can implement it and hopefully benefit from it. So let's start with the what, the where and the why. So what is your pelvic floor? So really small group of muscles, a ball-shaped group of muscles that sit at the bottom of your pelvis. So if you cup your hands like this, that's roughly about the size and shape of your pelvic floor. And they sit at the base of your pelvis. The floor to your core is what I say. So they stretch back. The muscles structure stretch back, attaching from your pubic bone, which is the front of your pelvis, and they stretch back, attaching to your tailbone, which is the coccyx at the base of your spine. In females, your pelvic floor has 3 holes, and male it has 2. But for the female, it has the urethra, which is the tube from your bladder where your wee comes out. It has your vagina, which is your birthing canal, and it has your anus, which is your back passage. The male men just have the urethra in the back passage. But sticking with female, so what is the function of your pelvic floor? What role does it play? So here's some 4 key roles, which I think are 4 of the most important things that your pelvic floor does in your body. So the first one is support. So the muscles inside your pelvic floor muscles support and hold the organs inside of your pelvis in place. So you got your bladder, your uterus, which is your womb, and your bowels. So a healthy pelvic floor support these organs and hold them in the correct place, which brings me on to role number 2, which is function. So by holding your bladder and bowel in place, these organs are able to function correctly and optimally. So by good support and support around these organs, you're able to hold on to your poo and your wee, you're able to control them, you're able to also let go of your pelvic floor, relax your pelvic floor and have a poo and a wee. So that's function. You've also got sexual function, which is the 3rd role. So healthy pelvic floor plays a really key role in optimizing sexual function. So as you can imagine, the pelvic floor muscles surround the vaginal wall. So you've also got some superficial muscles of the pelvic floor, which are these outer muscles of the pelvic floor. Now in a female, they surround the clitoris. They also attach to like the clitoral fascia, the pubic fascia. So a lot of the pelvic floor overlaps and overlays around the parts of the female body that play a very important role in sexual function and sexual enjoyment as well, which is really important. The 4th role I'm going to mention is childbirth. So the pelvic floor play a really key role in delivering a baby. So as you can imagine, the pelvis is a bit of a bony, weird structure. So the baby's got to get out the pelvis. So the pelvic floor actually help via contraction and the movement of the muscle. They help guide and support that baby out of the pelvic canal. So why take care of your pelvic floor? Why look after your pelvic floor? So we want to prevent and treat any dysfunction within the pelvic floor. So as I mentioned earlier, dysfunction with the roles they play, any dysfunction within the pelvic floor can affect these roles. So if you have perhaps a weak pelvic floor, or you have maybe a wound up pelvic floor, maybe it's a bit too tight, you can get dysfunctions then within the pelvis. So you may experience incontinence, prolapse, frequency, urgency, bladder or bowel, chronic constipation, any defecation obstruction, problems, pelvic pain. You may experience pain within your pelvis, vulvodynia, vaginismus, sexual dysfunction, bladder pain syndrome. There's lots of these problems and symptoms can be a result of a pelvic floor dysfunction. So if you've got these symptoms, please seek help. We want to treat those, but also we can prevent these problems as well. Okay, so yes, we are passionate about treating these problems, but we're just as passionate about getting people to take care of their pelvic floor, become aware of it, so that we can prevent these problems happening. And whether or not you've just had a baby, whether or not you've just had gynae surgery, or everyone, whether you're a teenager, whether you're a young mom, whether you've never had kids in your 50s, everyone needs to look after their pelvic floor because it can affect anyone. So the second reason you want to look after your pelvic floor is sexual function, like I mentioned. So we're sexual beings, and we should be able to enjoy an intimate relationship with our loved one. So we want to any dysfunction with the pelvic floor again can cause sexual dysfunction. So we want to prevent and optimize sexual function and enjoyment, because we should be enjoying an intimate sexual relationship with our loved one. Also, I mentioned it's the floor to core. So your pelvic floor works very closely with the muscles around your spine that support your spine, your diaphragm, which is at the top of your ribs, and your abdominals, which is the muscles that go down and across your torso. So these all work together to create your core. Now, most of us are pretty aware of our core. We kind of know how to work our core, but quite often what can happen is we're neglecting that pelvic floor group of muscles when we're activating and working the core, and that can equate to not a efficient functioning or working of the core. So we want to make sure that that's taken care of as well, because our core affects everything. So it affects our general movement, it affects our posture, our breathing, our rib placement, so our voice, it affects our balance, so pretty much everything. It affects pretty much a lot of things that enable us to live, to be, to enjoy life. So yes, it's really, really important we take care of our pelvic floor. So I hope this video has helped you understand what the pelvic floor is, where it is, what it does, and why it's important within the health and well-being. If you have any problems or questions about this video, please get in touch. If you are symptomatic and you are having problems and you feel like you've identified with problems in this video, please go see a women's health or pelvic health physiotherapist. We specialise in the pelvic floor, and we love to help you and to help you get back to normal, to function well-functioning bodies. Please check out my video on how to do pelvic floor exercise, because that will be really helpful too. Thanks very much.